Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. My name is Tanayol, and I'm an anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry veterans to come together to share their knowledge, ideas, thoughts, and best practices with one another, as well as with upcoming industry leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings of all our industry stalwarts. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone as they help us to identify, nurture, and work on trade secrets that have already proven a success formula for so many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge sharing community. We have one such industry stalwart on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Mr. Brijesh J. Mathew. We welcome you on the show, sir.
Yo.
Standing as a beacon in the finance domain with over 22 years of extensive experience and hailing from Kochi, he has demonstrated his prowess in steering finance, accounts, and audits across a spectrum of organizations from startups to established entities. As a Group CFO of Litmus7 Systems Consulting Private Limited and its wholly owned subsidiaries across the US, Israel, Canada, and the Middle East, his skill set spans strategic financial planning, cost and profitability management, treasury operations, credit and collections, and more. In this current role, he has led the organization from scratch to a remarkable 38 million in revenue in just 9 years. His responsibilities include finalizing books of accounts, preparing various reports for stakeholders, managing cash flows, and overseeing transfer pricing for overseas subsidiaries. So, Mr. Mathew, could you let our viewers know about your career journey so far?
I started my career way back in 99 after my post-graduation in business economics from Kochi University of Science and Technology. That was after my graduation in mathematics.
Okay.
And I got a campus placement and joined one of the leading broking companies that time, Pvt Capital Market Limited, in equity research. So I started my journey as a researcher, especially in stock market. And that was a remarkable time or a what do you call it, turning point in stock market, because the old systems were changing into new online broking systems, and the entire stock broking scenario was going for a dramatic change that time. Because of post Harshad Mehta scam and all those things, it was evolving, and I was lucky to be a part of the broking community on that evolution phase. And again, when I joined, it was a flurry of scams and issues that were in the market, and the Kathanpedek scam or the UTI master gain scam. So I started my work in a very marshy land. So instead of having a very smooth fight, it happened to be in a marshy land. But it's helped me a lot, because when we get into such adverse situation, we study a lot, or we chisel our skills a lot. And as I said earlier, it was an evolution change in IT also, because IT was also booming. So everything was changing into a technology-oriented business, and I was lucky to be to start my career on that phase. And it gives a large what do you call it? So it gives a better mileage on different aspects, because we learned about all the theories and schooling in the old system, and we started my career in a completely new system. So adaptability is easy. From there, I moved to then Pvt Capital Market was later acquired by Motilal Oswal. So now it's a part of Motilal Oswal. And then I moved to the franchisee channel of Kotak Securities. And from there in 2005 to Edelweiss Capital, heading the regional PCG division. And from 2007 onwards in Reliance Securities Limited. So my first 30 years was purely into equity research, advisory, and broking in 4 different companies. And then the starting of the last decade, the broking was slowly again evolving to a completely online platforms where everyone was trading on mobile screens.
Yes.
The old school or the old school kind of broking was slowly evading. Then I thought it's a time to go for a pivot. And again, till that time, being an equity researcher, I was interviewing all the CEOs, CFOs, or the management teams for taking out their or taking those secrets for the how they created their balance sheet, what are their divergences, what happened, or how. I'm more curious about the story of. I always believe that every financial statement has a story to tell, and that
Yes.
story of the business. So all the whims and worries, mission and visions, fancies of all the director board or the promoter has to be captured in the financial statement. So I was good in dissecting that. So whenever I dissect a financial statement, a balance sheet, or a P&L, I have a lot of questions to ask, and every time, so sometimes out of curiosity, sometimes out of scare. Okay, so I never hesitated to put that in front of the management, and so a lot of questions like that, or a lot of what do you call it, inferences that made on those things, actually created a new pathway for me that. Sometimes I spotted a lack of proper financial management. Sometimes I spotted a scope for financial. And as you know that in majority of our normal businesses, the finance ends with account, auditing, taxation, and maybe payroll. So finance starts and ends with that. There is very few people. I'm talking about the small and medium segment. Of course, the biggies already have their own systems, but the startups and other small and medium enterprises have little exposure towards the financial management or the financial planning. So they might not have a FP&A department or a budgeting thing. Budgeting happen to be a very routine thing for them. And they don't explore the wide spectrum or wide view of how that their vision turning into a financial model and then turning into a financial statement. So very few people focused on that. So I thought I should do that because I do that for some companies. And that's the time when a promoter approached me for starting an IT startup. So I joined with them. And so I asked them, what's your, where is your company in the next 10 years or 15 years? So he said, I want to go for an IPO. And that was the best answer that he could have get because I'm coming from the stock market background and somebody dreaming for an IPO and doing a startup. I thought, okay, that's how I joined Litmus7. And then we expanded to US, Canada, Israel, Middle East. At least 3 or 4 multi-geography experiences, multicultural experiences, and doing the accounting systems and best practices of all these developing nations, and got a chance to associate with a lot of investment bankers, finance professionals, accounting professionals, transfer pricing professionals, and interacting with them has actually given new values to my career. And now it's completed 10 years in Litmus7. So that's the career journey till date.
So could you share examples of how your financial analysis and reporting skills have contributed to effective decision-making within the organizations you work for?
I'll explain that with an example. Say, when my promoter when the board of directors want to go for an R&D center in Israel, it's going to be a risky one because an R&D center by a company of our size is going to cost much, and we have to wait at least 2 to 3 years for getting some returns since it's a completely R&D division. So how do we mitigate this risk? Because end of the day, cash flow matters, right? So of course, I can capitalize it on the P&L, and that doesn't affect our EBITDA too much. I can extend to maybe 1 or 2 years, but end of the day, it's all about cash flow. So how do we mitigate that risk of blocking that much amount in Israel? So I was looking out where I can fetch the money that we blocked in that R&D division, and was looking at. So as a good, my strength was always the trend analysis. So I used to play with all the moving variables. So for me, every income and every revenue head in a balance sheet or a P&L is a moving variable. So from where I can chisel out and where I can cut some piece and adjust to this. And then we decided to use the treasury income because luckily at that time we were sitting on a huge dollar reserves. So we thought of capitalizing that treasury income for making additional cash flow. And that is one thing. And we almost covered around 80% of what we spend on Israel through this one. So that gives a cushion to the board of directors. And Another thing is like the COVID times, as everyone knows, it was a hard time for every business, and
Yeah.
it was a time of uncertainty because we don't know answers to a lot of questions. So then, after April 2020, we completely changed the financial model of the company, and rather than going for the traditional things, we applied a simulation model for managing the finances, and also on the planning and budgeting sheet, we use a simulation model rather than going for the traditional one. And it helped. And it helped because luckily for two reasons. One, we were purely into e-commerce, and second thing, when we played simulation model, all the uncertain factors we could control to some extent. So there are certain things which are beyond our control, but those factors or those the variables which are in our control, we could manage effectively. So that even though we had a slightly bad year in 2020, that we could make up all those things in 2021, the next year. That's good.
So, what advice would you give to aspiring finance professionals looking to build successful careers in strategic financial management?
Again, I will draw some points which I discussed earlier, because in a normal company, when you are working, right, it starts and ends with accounting, auditing, payroll, and taxation, and filing the income tax. Your job is over. That's the way most of the people approach finance. As long as you don't get a notice from any of the authorities, you seems to be doing good. But I adopted a different, in my career, I adopted a different strategy and plan. Like, I had a quadrant to play with. That quadrant was more like my role was more like a steward or a strategist or a catalyst, and a growth oriented thing. So steward, operator, strategist, and a catalyst. That's the four quadrants which I played. So as a steward, I am supposed to keep the company's assets intact, maximum return for my shareholders. And as an operator, I have to ensure the operating efficiency of the company, how well the funds are utilized, how well we can reap profits maximum. And catalyst, of course, the role of a catalyst. That I think you got that. And we need to be a growth catalyst in all these things. Rather than sitting on an Excel sheet or a Tally sheet or an Intuit QuickBooks, we should extend the hands of finance to the growth. That includes even sales, because if you can't translate all operations into the finance, then there's no meaning in doing a business. That's what I thought. So whatever decisions I took, whatever knowledge or a piece of information that I took, I always used to map it to any of these quadrants. And these quadrants are aligned, or in a way shared the synergy to a certain extent, so that we can bring a larger picture. So whatever I discussed, or whatever actions I took, whatever decisions I made, whatever suggestions I got from my colleagues or from the external world, I always used to align that to these four quadrants, so that I don't deviate much. And to coming back to your question, then to play that around, we need to have a lot of blocks in us. Say, if I want to put it in a different way, for me, finance is like a Lego game. So we need a lot of blocks to build a shape, and we definitely need a shape for your finance. It cannot be amoebic. Your dreams can be of amoebic shape, but your finance cannot. Finance need a definite shape to grow. So to create a definite shape, you need all the blocks in your hand, in your reach. So accumulate as much blocks as possible. When I say blocks, I mean any piece of information or any piece of knowledge or any piece of academics. So, and every information or every chapter or every points that we discuss on the school or in the textbooks, that has got an impact on the finance and on the business side or the practical side when you put it. Recently, I was talking to a few people for students on a class that when I was doing my graduation in mathematics, one of the subject was a real analysis. Okay, and the first theory of real analysis was to prove that there is infinite number of numbers between two integers. So, see, as I said in my earlier response, like most of the small and medium companies, the finance starts and ends with accounting, auditing, taxation, and payroll. And there are, but there is enough scope for being in the financial management, especially the strategic financial management. It's an unexplored territory by a lot of companies in a proper way. And finance need a shape, whether the promoters or board of directors have different ideas, different dreams, but end of the day, all those dreams and all those visions and missions has to be incorporated in our financial strategies. So it's a relation, or it's a handshake between business idea and the finance aspect of that. So strategic financial management holds a big role, especially the financial planning and analysis, the budgets, the variances that creates, and how we track that. The earlier, or some 2 decades back, when we look at how people managed finance, it was all in an actual versus budget. What is the difference? So that's the only thing. But now everyone knows that there might be changes, because without it cannot be concrete, or it cannot be on solid numbers. But the things have changed. But now people go one step ahead, and now we are analyzing on the rate of change. It's not that change, or that it's not that what is the change. So the rate of change is the most critical factor now. It relates to time, and the world is moving so fast. So the rate of change of this divergence or these deviations matters a lot. So what I feel is like, for me, finance is like a Lego game. So as I said earlier, it's a Lego game. So we need all the blocks to create the shape that we require. The shape that we require in the sense what the board of directors demands, or what the shareholder demands. So we should be capable of taking all these things together, or whatever things that possible, should take it in our kitty and be ready for creating any shape that we want. And sometimes the thing is that any piece of information, or any piece of subject matter or chapters that we study in our school or business school, all those things have got an impact in the business. So sometimes for examination sake or certification sake, we study some easiest 6 or 7 subjects and leave the 3. But end of the day, when you do something, that 3 becomes very critical, and you can't go back and study. So, because you can go back and study, but if you have that hands-on, then it's very easy to implement. So one such example I would like to quote is like, when I was doing my graduation in mathematics, one of the subject was real analysis. So in real analysis, the one theory is like you have to prove that there is infinite number of numbers between 2 integers, 1 and 2. So at that time when I was studying, I always used to think, what is the use of this? What is the use of me proving that there is the infinite number of numbers between 2 integers? But years later, when it comes to the age of Bitcoin, and when the Bitcoin is being valued at the 8th decimal or the 10th decimal, then that subject makes sense. Like say the 8th decimal point. So imagine 1.0000 to up to 8. So if I don't know that, okay, there's a possibility of that. How will I extrapolate that, or how will we analyze that? How will we analyze the next possible 9th decimal point? So everything has got a value. We can't skip anything. So apart from you can do for some crash courses or some crash studying for exams or certifications, but at the end of the day, make sure that we study everything, and as much knowledge you have got, you got an edge. Because one of the career advantage which I really got, which I forgot to tell you in your first question, is like, see, I was very lucky to have in a particular slot. Like, if you look at my specializations, it is from graduation was from mathematics, then comes to business economics, with applied finance, econometrics, financial model, security analysis, and portfolio management. Then I was into equity research, where fundamental and technical analysis take a place. Then the second year of my career was the launch of derivatives in India. So I happened to be studying derivative analysis. So it is a culmination of all those things. So when I take an assignment, when I take a financial analysis or financial planning or management, I can easily relate finance and statistics. So that is one advantage, and I think the entire world is moving on that side. So when we say data or data science, and it's all like how we process the data and how we interpret the data, how we take business decisions based on the data. So try to align. So the age of one subject and one thing is over. Now it's now subjects are getting overlapped, the courses are getting overlapped, and also the application side is much ahead of what we are running now.
Yeah. So how and when did you develop an interest in ESG and corporate governance?
Actually, if you want to put a time on it, I don't have a timeline for that. But again, uh, uh, being in equity research, one good thing happened, or regarding this corporate governance practices, like we are seeing some kind of scams every year. Some kinds of companies getting into scams or unwanted practices uh, every year. Like, so starting from the first I noticed was of the Global Trust Bank, UTI Global Trust Bank merger way back in 2000-2001 period, where Global Trust Bank has gone into some issues. And at that time we were so junior because I have hardly 1 year in my career, and we know that there's things are happening bad, but we are not in a position to comment on it, or neither our seniors will accept our valuable suggestions. But then when we look at it, it's an array of companies that's coming year after year. Like then after Global Trust Bank, it comes Satyam, then Island FS, and in between Enron, then the Yes Bank, and the last one being DHFL, in between SpiceJet. I have seen people losing money being into equity research and handling traders or investors. I've seen that people losing money. So there should be some stringent plans, and I'm sure that our whistleblowers are evolving every year, and they're implementing or introducing a lot of best practices or some regulations to control all these things. But again, that we should have implemented much earlier. That's what my feel is like. The control and regulation should have been earlier. But again, we are an evolving financial market, so we can't put all the stringent rules on the first day and start running. So sometimes we keep on updating, or we keep on changing things. And regarding the ESG factor, it happened in 2003 or 4, where happened to read about an article regarding Chicago Climate Exchange. And then the carbon trading was something which I was very curious that time. So I happened to read some articles related to that, and again, I couldn't digest that how this climate exchange works. Stock market works, I can, because being into stock market, I can relate that. But how climate exchange work was a curious thing for me. So I spent some time on that time in 2003 or 4. And I happened to read one article by Richard Sandon, and he was one of the well-known American economists. So he put an article on this GHCs, the greenhouse gases, and its impact on the climate changes.
Mm-hmm.
So that time it was a scary report, because I thought the world will end in 3 decades. So we see reading that report, so it was that scary. And because the ozone layer and the climate changes, he covered a wide range of subjects in that particular study. So that's the time first I thought about this ecological and social governance principles. And yeah, I think that's it. So then every year we have something to relook into, whether it's a tsunami, or it's some cyclones or hurricanes or frequently occurring floods. So every time we had some reasons to go back and reiterate that he was right.
Yeah.
So ESG has got a relevance. So ESG governance has got a much relevance. And in a very utopian angle, if given a chance, we should practice, everyone should practice a philosophy of animism. So that's the way we can control the ecological and social balance.
So as an ESG and corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
I think the key point, according to me, is the sustainability. Whether it is business, whether it is an ecology or anything, the sustainability is the key thing for everything. So whatever the factors or what are the variables that can keep the sustainability intact, and we can keep an equilibrium around that, I think that will be the best thing that anyone should do, according to me. And so if I was in an ESG committee or ESG as an ESG consultant also, If something comes to me, my first priority will be to ensure that sustainability is kept in and around that, and all the strategies will be made in and around that.
Yeah. So, what are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with respect to changes in technology, and what changes do you expect to see in the future with the advent of IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, big data, Web 3.0?
See, technology is evolving daily. It's not in that phase, so it's evolving so fast, and some in that evolution, some technologies get obsolete, some getting stressed too much, and some getting extended to some areas or some orbits where we can't even look and comment on now. But coming to your question, say a decade back, when everyone was after big data, say in 2011-12 period, big data was the talking point, especially in the information technology circle. That was the talking point. But no one knows where it leads or how everyone talks about big data, but what was the impact, or how do they use it, or where whichever the areas it's getting used or it's getting affected, no one knows. But then came the blockchain. So it was one step ahead of big data. So then again, blockchain, again, how it was all about data then. But then come machine learning, and now come AI. So it is evolving on a daily basis. Now it's getting a shape. Now we know that what is that. Why do we do data analytics? Why do we do data science? Then what's the relevance of big data? Then what is the relevance of blockchain? Now come to an era of AI. But for me, if you for your question, my response will be like, it is end of the it's need of the hour, and it will happen. There is whatever do we that whatever happens supposed to happen will happen, and AI is one such thing, and it has to happen. But it will optimize a lot of things, like say energy, or say if you as IoT. I've seen a lot of IoT applications where the energy saving is so good. Say one example being you entering a room and the light gets on, and once you leave that place, once you leave that circumference, the light goes off. So there's a lot of things like that. When optimization things will happen once the technology evolves. But I'm so curious. I'm not concerned, but very curious on the rate of or the time that evolution time, and this transition will come at what cost? Say, for example, if you look at one classic example being in the forex trading market, a lot of algorithms are driving the forex trading markets now, and you also might be knowing that. And but very few people knows about this algorithm, so they don't know about what's happening in the back end. But you just download an app and you put some money and just click on the algo applications or the AI application, and system runs. And you don't know what trade it happens. And at the end of the day, you get some dollars and you'll be happy, or some euros, and you will be happy. This exact thing will happen after, say, a decade, or maybe not even a decade, maybe 3 years or 5 years down the line, because there will be a set of people who really understand all these things, and they will be in a different orbit, and there will be a lot majority which fall behind without knowing what really happens, but the consumers or the customers of the first set of people. And this transition, when it comes, at what cost it will come and how much time it will take. And according to me, the way it's going, it might happen in a burst of time. So it won't take much time. But when things are moving that fast, it put a lot of pressure on the people who comes after these things, because they have to adapt, and they have to study these things in a minimum number of time, and at what cost. Say, coming back to the same example which I put, that forex business, the forex trading. I think last week RBI has banned around 75 intermediaries in forex trading. And there are a lot of, you also might have read that a lot of SOPs have been introduced by different governments for during the COVID times to support people, to support employment and all those things. Good amount of money have been gone to Bitcoin trading or forex trading and all. And even a lot of Indians, who has put a speculative money on forex trading has gone to some place we don't know. And this household saving is supposed to come back to our market, to our financial market, to our consumption. But it has gone to some place where we even don't know. It might be an African country, it might be an American, who knows where it has gone. And the regulation is falling behind, and no one can blame the authorities or the whistleblowers because it is moving that fast. So we can't put toll gates or we can't put check practices in each and every point because we don't know where it is heading. Yeah. So how should we do that? So I'm worried on that front, like how that regulation works and what will happen in an unregulated era of things, and how that's cost the people and how it's going to affect our finances. So that's a bit of curious. I'm not too much worried on that because we'll have a solution for everything end of the day. So worried on, but a bit curious on that. But if you can fence around it in a proper manner with proper regulations, yes, that's good for the human community. That's what I.
So as you know, we're building a community here of industry magnates. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. What are your thoughts about this initiative taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the whole World Development Corporation team?
That's, to me, it's highly impressive. It's highly impressive, and it's an awesome move. Like say, I don't know, from this the last half an hour conversation from me, you might have noticed that how much importance I give to academics and knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and you know that we are, and the financial literacy of our nation is very low, and we study science, mathematics, history, politics, civics, biology, everything, but we never teach our people finance. Finance is not a mandatory subject.
That is true.
Finance is cool. And you should understand that this is a nation where a book like or a concept like Arthashastra evolved and Arthashastra came. So, and we never bothered to teach people about business or finance, and only business schools used to do that. And even then, exposure to real finance is very limited. People used to learn it in the hard way by burning their own fingers or burning someone else's money. Otherwise, they don't learn at all. So any educational or any, as you rightly pointed out, the cross-pollination of business or management or governance, it values a lot. It values a lot because that can clearly create a new set of new society where the set of people have got a clear direction, the right direction. As we in financial terms, we give importance to a right report from the auditors. So right report auditors means a clean report. It's a clean report from auditor. So it's like the next generation of businessman will be, or businessman or the board of directors or whoever governs the business should have the clear clarity and what do you call the ethics or governance practices. So this move really helps, and then they deserve a high upload on coming with that initiative, and the entire team of Board Directors Council, for that matter, deserves a very high up. That's what I call.
Great, sir. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will greatly inspire future leaders. Thank you so much for joining us today, and wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute unquestionably has expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Have a great day ahead.
Thank you. Same to you.